Hi, my name is Victoria if you haven't been here before, and welcome back to another women's health video. Today I'm talking all about your period. Really quickly, before I go into everything, I just want to say that most of the information that I'm talking about in this video I'm pulling directly from Period Power, which is by Maisie Hill, and In the Flow, which is by Alyssa Vitti. I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. Both of these authors refer to your cycle in seasons. Your period is winter, spring is your follicular phase, ovulation is summer, the luteal phase is fall. So I will be using that terminology throughout the video. Talking about your period, I will be using the word winter. Quickly, I'm going to go over what your hormones are doing during your menstrual phase. I do have a general overview video for your menstrual cycle, so you should go and watch that right now if you haven't already. So leading up to your period, estrogen and progesterone are telling your body to create a lining in your uterus. This is called the endometrium. It's that blood lining that you'll eventually shed out. And that blood lining is there on the chance that you have a fertilized egg. Right before your period, progesterone and estrogen drop, and that triggers prostaglandins to release. Prostaglandins are hormones that tell your muscles to contract. So those tell the muscles in your uterus to contract. That limits the oxygen supply to that blood lining, and then the cells basically die, and then that is shed out. And so when that blood is shedding, that's your period. In my experience, we're taught to think quite negatively about our bleed, that it's this shameful, dirty thing that we kind of just have to cope with every month, that it's a waste of time, and that we can't trust our minds because our hormones are like freaking out. So an interesting thought exercise is to recount what you experienced right around the time that you got your first period, which, by the way, is called menarche. I think I'm saying that right. This book lists a lot of questions to kind of think about in regards to that first bleed that you had. I kind of shortened it down to what I thought like the most hard-hitting ones were. Were you excited about your first period? Were you worried? Were you proud about your first period? Like, this is me, I'm a woman now. Or were you ashamed, and did you feel like you had to hide it? Was it an awkward conversation that you had with your mom where it felt like you were kind of keeping it quiet and being awkward about it? That first experience that you had likely shaped how you feel and think about your bleed today, for good or for bad. And this I thought was cool. Research suggests that celebrating a young woman's first bleed as a rite of passage rather than hiding and shaming it can create a more positive body image for that girl. I want to talk about some things that are probably obvious, things that you've already noticed about your winter. I'm also going to talk about things that you may not know, things that are true that aren't really talked about. The first thing that is obvious during your winter is that you're bleeding. This is your bleeding phase. Your energy decreases. You may experience cramping, bloating, lower back pain, fatigue, nausea maybe if your cramping is really that bad. You might experience food cravings or even urgent bathroom runs, or maybe not able to use the bathroom at all, which, since I did already talk about prostaglandins, while they are signaling to your uterus to constrict, your lower bowels or your colon is right next to your uterus. So sometimes those signals to tell the uterus to constrict might be a little too powerful and tell your colon to constrict as well, and then you will maybe experience an urgent bathroom run. Another thing that you might experience is that you don't really want to spend time with people. Even if you are an extrovert, you might just be feeling like you want to stay in and not go to that dinner or not hang out with your friends and just lay in bed all day. Next, I'm going to talk about things that you may not have known about your period, which are pretty dang cool. Well, I think that they're pretty dang cool. One is that endorphins are released at the onset of your period. Endorphins, for one, are a natural painkiller. Endorphins are a hormone that bind to the opiate receptor. That is the same receptor that opioids bind to. So you think of opioids as being painkillers. But on top of being painkillers, endorphins are also the feel-good hormone. They produce feelings of pleasure, euphoria, and well-being. In my experience, I think of endorphins as being responsible for that like high feeling that you get when your period is right about starting, like the first day. And if you're able to actually relax, maybe lay down in bed, lay on the couch with a heating pad, a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, a good book, or maybe a TV show, and just relax. If you do experience cramping, I find that heating pad is the most helpful thing to treat those cramps. And once the pain kind of drifts away, I always feel like this high, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I was talking to Ryan about this, like he's never gonna know what I'm talking about. But if you have ever experienced that, where you're kind of just like floating after your cramps go away and you just feel really content and peaceful with the world, that is because of endorphins that are released right when your period starts, which is so freaking cool. The onset of your period does not need to be this treacherous time. Your body is actually producing hormones that, one, kill those cramps, and two, give you feelings of pleasure and euphoria and well-being. That's pretty dang cool. Oh my gosh, the next thing, so when your hormones reach their lowest level, which of course is right around your period, that is when the left analytical side and the right feeling side of your brain, they have the greatest connection. And there have been research studies on this, that your brain anatomy actually physically changes during your menstrual cycle. So what this means basically is if you're a left side thinker, so you think about like the Myers-Briggs test or any personality test where it's thinking versus feeling, or like logical versus emotional, how you make decisions. If you are a left side thinker, then at this time in these couple of days on your period, the left side of your brain has the greatest connection to the right side of your brain. So you're going to be able to balance out that thinking pattern that you have and be able to integrate your thoughts and emotions into decision making. Or vice versa, if you're a right side feeler, then you'll be able to have a better connection to the left analytical side of your brain. So this basically means that your intuition is at an all-time high. You're using both parts of your brain, the logical side and the feeling side. You can reflect on situations or decisions and determine what you actually want, what is best, and how you want the situation to resolve. This is a great time for strategic thinking about the future and goal setting at the big picture level. It's not a great time to, you're not getting a bunch of different tasks done. That is a different phase of your cycle, so don't worry about it. Just don't be surprised if you're taking an extra long shower or you're taking a bath because you're on your period and you want to relax, and a resolution comes to you and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the perfect solution to this problem at work, or that's the perfect solution to the fight I've been having with my husband, like now we can maybe mediate this issue, and you feel like you can finally make a decision about, this or that. Don't be surprised if that happens right around your period, because your brain is wired to do so. So I want you to think of your period, of your winter, as a cleansing process. Obviously, this is a physical cleansing process because your body is literally shutting out an old blood supply in order to get ready for a new one. It's also a mental and emotional cleansing process as well. Kind of cleansing of that old month. Those were the last 4 weeks, getting ready for the next 4 weeks. Take advantage of this restart of your cycle. So Maisie Hill in Period Power, which is this book, sorry, my camera just shook so much. In each season, she has a section that's listing the superpowers and the dangers of each phase, and I think that's super cute. So I'm taking that directly from her book. Superpower 1 that you need to know how to set boundaries. How can you close yourself off to the world for 1 to 3 days? Being able to say no to social invites, having a boundary with maybe a spouse. Say, hey, when I get home from work, maybe can you take the kids for a walk tonight? Or I don't know, out. I don't know what parents do with their kids. Can you entertain the kids for like an hour or two after I get home from work? Because I really need some time to unwind and rest, especially in this phase. So any kind of boundaries that you can set in order to help yourself push through this time of lower energy is going to be really beneficial to you. The next superpower is knowing how to nourish your body. Nourishment by doing things that actually fill your cup. For you, that might be sitting down with a cup of tea and reading a good book. It might be vegging out, giving yourself permission to veg out on the couch for a couple hours, one day after work, or a day on the weekend if your period hits on the weekend. Or maybe it's FaceTiming your long distance sister for a couple of hours. Whatever is gonna help you nourish yourself. Another superpower, of course, is knowing how to rest. This is all kind of intertwined with the nourishment and knowing how to set boundaries. Your body is expending a lot of energy in order to shed a whole month's supply of blood out of your uterus. Okay, your body was ready to be impregnated. It was ready to have a child in it, and now it's not. So give yourself a little bit of grace and know that it's okay that that energy has been depleted. Okay, I know that rest might look different for everyone, so maybe a good exercise to do, sit down and kind of evaluate yourself and figure out what it is that actually gives you peace, that gives you rest. The more that you can rest in your winter, you're gonna see the benefit through your spring and summer. Spring and summer are your very productive seasons, so the more that you can actually rest in your winter, the more you'll see the benefit of that through your spring and summer. It's kind of like if you burn yourself, anyone can go through burnout, right? If you go like hard, you're gonna eventually burn out. But if you have this cyclical rhythm of resting and then, you know, having your productive seasons and then your nesting seasons, you will see the benefit long term. Another superpower is knowing how to release. Just as your body is releasing all of that blood supply, this season is a really good time to let go of things like bitterness, resentment, maybe any false feelings or beliefs that you have about yourself, especially since you have the benefit of really using your logical and feeling side. So I feel fear sometimes, and that's my feeling side. But when I can sit down during my menstrual phase and journal, I say this is my feeling of fear, but my logical side tells me the truth, which is that God is my refuge and my strength, and I can use that logical side and really bring it over to that feeling side in order to start to let go of the fear, start to let go of the false beliefs about myself. Whether it's meditating or talking to God or spilling your guts out to a sister or a friend, now is a really good time to kind of let go of all of those things. The last superpower is knowing how to receive. I'm just gonna read this section from her book. When you make space and are present during your winter, you'll find yourself gifted with insights and creative solutions to problems you've been stewing on for a week or a decade. Learn to trust your instincts and the messages that come to you whilst you're bleeding. You've probably had revelations during this time before, but perhaps haven't tied them to the process of menstruation. I just think that she says that really well. That's kind of what I've been talking about throughout this video. Trusting your instincts during this phase especially is super important. So going into winter's dangers, number one is carrying on without awareness. If you have a very light bleed or you don't experience bad cramping, and especially if you're an extrovert as well, you might just like run through this phase and not take the time to really capitalize on that brain connection that you have, and it might detract from the full experience of your winter. Something else that happens is as your energy is depleting, your energy is moving inward, which means that you might feel a disconnect from the world. Your boundary walls will drop, making you more vulnerable to the world as well. It might be a reason why you find yourself crying more on your period. It's not because you're crazy and your hormones are wacky. It's just because as your energy moves inward, you're not able to have those walls up to kind of guard yourself that way. But if you're unaware of this shift, it is very dangerous because you're probably gonna think that you're crazy. This is like why I'm making these videos, because there are reasons behind all of these things that you're probably experiencing and we just don't talk about it. So I'm just trying to help you guys feel less crazy. You just need to shift your focus to other things. You know, I've said it before, but our bodies are designed to live in this cycle so that we can think big picture, and then we can set our tasks for the month, and then we can be productive and get those tasks done. And then our brain is wired so that we're wrapping things up and finishing up projects and tying neat little bows, and then the whole thing happens again It's so cool. Any kind of reason that you're not really aware of your period might, just detract from the whole thing and make you think that you're going crazy. Another danger is ignoring the call to retreat. Again, I've talked about rest already enough in this video, but rest is so important, and if you ignore that, then you're gonna feel very depleted moving forward throughout your cycle. Just try your best to take a breather. Another danger is guilt. Guilt about taking the time to actually rest, especially if you might be a very driven type A kind of person or an extrovert. So you think about animals hibernate, right? They hibernate in order to conserve nutrients for the next couple of months or the next seasons. This is winter, okay? This is winter season. This is hibernation. Animals do this. Everything in nature has this kind of cycle. I know this is so like cheesy to say, but a flower doesn't bloom all year. Nothing blooms all year. So you need to be okay with like, we are created to take time to rest. Also, I think that it's okay to not wear busyness as a badge of honor, okay? I don't know, that's like a big thing. It should be socially and mentally okay to take a break for 1 or 2 days a month. And the last danger is rushing out. So this would be rushing out of your winter too early. Typically by day 5, I have a good amount of energy back, but I'm still not 100%. So if I, come day 4 or day 5, I'm like, okay, let's make all the plans and hang out with this many people, and I do that to myself. I'll finally get my energy back and I'll be like, okay, I'm putting makeup on today. I'm gonna go run my errands. I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna go food shopping. I'm gonna meal prep for everything. And then the next day I'm like, okay, I feel like crap again. It's kind of like if you have a cold and you try to get back into the world a day early, you're gonna get sick again. Try to avoid jumping out of your restful winter too early, or you might burn yourself out before you're fully in spring. Okay, so these are my tips to get the most out of your winter. One is that your period is an excellent time to big picture plan for the month. While you're resting on your couch, maybe grab your laptop, grab Google Calendar, and plan out the rest of your month, because your intuition is really high and you're gonna have a better grasp on what it is you actually want out of the month, out of the big picture of your life, and the tasks that are going to be really important to you this month to get done. Number 2 is, at a basic level, you need to learn how to listen to your internal battery. Decide what to tackle and what to postpone. Practically, you can make a list of all of the tasks that need to get done, because I know that life is real and there are some things that can't wait 3 days, because that's just the nature of life. Make a priority list of things that do need to get done. Allow yourself to say no to social invites. Do try to keep in mind, because you might be in your follicular phase, your ovulation phase, and you're like, oh, you're having a big group dinner in 2 weeks? Yeah, let me put that on my calendar. Try to remember that in 2 weeks you're gonna be on your period, or maybe you're in your luteal phase and you're not gonna have the energy for that. So have the foresight to, it's okay to plan your calendar around these things. My friends and I do it all the time. I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna be on my period that day. So if we could do it like 3 days later, maybe the following weekend, let's get dinner instead. It's okay to do that. I think of that song. It's like, I'm not alone, but I don't feel lonely. Finally got the time to try to get to know me. Good song. Maybe I'll link it in the description. So next is, the end of your period brings clarity, focus, and resolve. This is a really good time to set an intention for the month. Think about how you spend your time versus how you want to spend your time. How you spend your money versus how you want to spend your money. Think about your relationships. Where are they headed? Where do you want them to lead? The things that are really important to you. How to focus on those things for the following month. This is kind of an action item that you can do when you're done watching this video. When you have time, sit down, grab a journal, and ask yourself a couple of these questions, because your winter is a great time for reflection. These are questions that Maisie Hill has in Period Power. These are good things to think about in general, but on your period, you're gonna have like the most bang for your buck, basically, because you're using that logical and feeling side. What am I ready to let go of? What needs my attention? What do I want more of? And where can I bring energy and focus into my life? Really good, huh? That is what I'm leaving you with. Go and answer those questions for yourself and utilize your winter. That is all I have today for this deep dive into your menstrual phase. If you have any questions or anything that you're interested in learning more about, please let me know in the comments. Look for my next video, which will be talking about your spring. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!